Hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we're doing we're continuing my 2022 year-end top 10s, as this video is going to discuss the dropouts from the 130-pound super featherweight division. These are the 4 guys that dropped out of the top 10 from last year. So we're going to go from lowest to highest based on where their ranking was coming into the year. And the first guy we're going to look at is 26-year-old contender Chris Colbert. Colbert went 0-1. He was previously tied for 10th. And he's still ranked 4th by the WBC, his highest ranking. But he entered the year, I mean, Chris Colbert was supposed to be the man. He was supposed to be the guy knocking on the door to possibly fight, to possibly mirror Shakur Stevenson on the top rank side. PBC had him lined up. He had a mandatory fight with Roger Gutierrez, good to go for February on a Showtime card, but Gutierrez had to pull out with an injury, or he got COVID, one of the two. Excuse me. And Hector Luis Garcia, an undefeated southpaw, stepped in and completely dominated Colbert and upset him. Colbert, in my opinion, hadn't done that much to that point. So that, combined with the fact that he didn't come back and fight the remainder of the year, he drops out of the top 10. He definitely can come back in and get his feet back wet in the top 10. Maybe take on somebody and get in line. Or there's also been talks about him moving up to 135. I wouldn't be surprised if he cracks the top 10 at 130 or 135 before the end of the year, but he's got some work to do. He needs to come back and shake off that rust, and we'll see where he stands by the end of the year when the smoke clears. So that's it for him. Then next up, dropping out of the top 10 is 37-year-old former WBO champion Jamel Herring. Herring entered the year trying to bounce back off of a tough loss and dominating loss to Shakur Stevenson. Stevenson beat the shit out of Jamel Herring in October of 2021, took the WBO title, stopped him, and Herring's plans were to move to 135, and his first fight out, he would take on Jermaine Ortiz, and that fight didn't go as well as planned. He went out there, he got outboxed, outworked against Ortiz, and he lost a solid unanimous decision, and then he decided to call it quits and retire. So no shame in that. He originally was number 4 in the division. Coming into the year, he was number 4, but moving up to 135, he's at that older age, back-to-back losses. I can't blame Jamel Herring for calling it quits here. Very, very good slick southpaw boxer. I actually got to see him fight live against Lamont Roach Jr. and was tough defeat, but good to see him go out on his shield. So congrats to Jamel Herring. The next guy dropping out of the top 10 is 31-year-old former WBC champion Miguel Berchelt. Berchelt entered the year number 3, but he decided he was coming off of that brutal knockout loss and upset against Oscar Valdez earlier in the year, and he decided to come back and fight at 135, move up to 135 and start over. And his first opponent was another guy debuting at 135, and Jeremiah Nakathila, and I questioned that opponent, that call to fight a guy like Nakathila, because I felt Nakathila was very dangerous, and Nakathila was dangerous. He went out there and he absolutely beat up Miguel Berchelt. Berchelt fought hard, but every 1 to 2 punches he landed, Nakathila landed 3 to 4. They were harder shots, and Berchelt looked like a shot fighter, sadly. So I dropped, Berchelt already dropped out of the division, moving to 135. He says he still wants to keep it rolling. He's still young enough to do that, but he only fought the one time. I'm interested in seeing how he bounces back, but it definitely has to be a bounce back year against limited opposition, lesser opposition, like a tune-up bout, so he can get his feet wet and get back to his winning ways. But we'll see what happens for Berchelt, but he's definitely not fighting at 135 before the end of the year, or at 130 anymore. And then the final guy to drop out of the top 10 is undefeated 25-year-old Shakur Stevenson, the former 2-division champ and former unified champ. at 130. Stevenson entered the year at number 2 and was coming off of his career best win, a dominant 10th round TKO over Jamel Herring. But he, he entered the year with a super fight looming to unify titles against undefeated Oscar Valdez to prove who the man was at 130, as Valdez was considered the number 1 guy, as he had unseated the previous number 1 in Miguel Berchelt. So they lined that fight up for the end of April on ESPN, and Stevenson came in the betting favorite, and he proved why, as he absolutely outboxed, outclassed, and he really fought like a boxer puncher and outworked Oscar Valdez to a very convincing 12-round unanimous decision, as he unified the 2 belts and became the top dog at 130 without question. But that only lasted about 4.5-5 months, as Stevenson decided to move. Stevenson had a title defense against Robson Consaichao, which was a very intriguing battle, as Consaichao pretty much should have defeated Oscar Valdez in their showdown in 2021. A lot of people feel he won that fight, myself included. So going into that one, everybody was intrigued to see Stevenson against Consaichao, and then Stevenson came in overweight, did not try to make the weight on the second attempt, was stripped of his 2 belts, and said clearly that he's moving to 135, that 130 is too hard to make the weight, and that was all she wrote. His story at 130 was done, and he ended up going on and defeating Consaichao. The belts were on the line for Consaichao, but not for him, and he is officially moving to 135. He hasn't yet debuted there, but he's made it clear 135 is where he's going. So, tough to see that. I was really big on Stevenson. I wanted him to do a little bit more work at 130, but hey, he's moving up to 135. That's a big move, and 135 deep. So that's it. That's what I got. Those are the dropouts from last year's top 10, and this is the 2022 year-end top 10s. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.